Hey there, I'm Brian Davis with Home Improved Man. I'm going to give you another video tutorial. In this one, we're going to look at flushing the water in your water heater. First, minor issue with the whole thing, you don't have to call it a hot water heater because there are no other kinds of water heaters. It is simply a water heater. Moving on from the things that don't really matter, flushing out your water heater is a really smart thing to do every once in a while. Getting some of the sediment out of the bottom is what will often cause it to deteriorate and then need replacement faster than necessary. First thing you want to do is turn the heater off so that you're not sending very hot water through plastic pipes. It doesn't need to be off for very long. I'm lucky in my situation. I have a switch right there. Just turn it down to off. I just did that a moment ago. If you don't have the switch on your water heater, you'll want to shut it off at the breaker. And the water heater will have its own dedicated breaker. Hopefully it's marked. It isn't always though. But if you do shut off the water to your water heater in nearly every single situation, 99% of the time, you will only be shutting off the power to your water heater. This water heater is gas, but the same process will apply whether your water heater is gas or electric. Be back in a few minutes once the water is cooled a bit. A few minutes for me has passed. For you, it should feel like nothing. I did mention a moment ago that a reason to let the water sit for a few minutes to allow it to cool is for the protection of the hoses and pipes that you're going to be running the water through. More importantly, though, is for you, because if there's a leak between the hose and the water heater or at some other place you come in contact with the hot water, it can be very difficult to try and address the situation if you're uncomfortable touching very hot water. All right, so first step before we start draining it is to shut off the flow of water. So coming up here to the top of the tank, over to here, we have our water. We have the cold water and the blue line coming into the hose, so we shut that one off. Like so. No more water will come in, and we can drain all the water out. So then we come down to our connector, and you'll notice that we have an outlet in which I've already attached a hose to. This one doesn't have a regular handle on it for safety reasons. I'll have to use a screwdriver, but the same process applies. And then if we go on over to where my water is flowing out into the sump pump. All right, so over here you can see that we got some of the water flowing out at a fairly low rate because I haven't opened the valve far enough, but I'll go back over to the water heater and open it up even further and give it its time it needs to drain out. Now, if you noticed in the picture, you might have seen some water on the floor. That was not coming from the water heater. That was just I had water in the line of the hose when I brought it down to the basement in order to drain it out. But if it had been coming from the water heater, it would have been very hot and uncomfortable. So I'll be back to talk to you once the water heater is fully drained. One thing I forgot to mention, the water is going to have a hard time escaping the water heater because it's difficult for air to get in above the water. But on this water heater, someone has very generously put in a little valve here, and if I open this up, you can hear the air going into the water heater, allowing the water to escape a little more easily. If this valve were open, of course, water would be pouring out of it, but in this case, it's air being sucked back in. And so then if we go over, we can see the increase in the flow of the water coming out. I'm going to give you a little gift here. Learn from my mistakes. When you go to shut off the water going into the water heater, include shutting off the hot water side. And the reason being is that as you drain the water out of the tank, it will, if this valve is open, start to pull water from the rest of your hot water lines. And so it's not a bad thing. It'll just save you time and also make it easier when you go and turn everything back on. So, that being said, everything's done. I have down here taken the hose off, and more importantly than taking the hose off, I have closed off the valve. Now we're going to come up here. Do not forget to shut this valve. When you open up the cold water, you will then, if that is open, start to spew water back into the room. So, shutting off this valve, and then very slowly, just to ensure we haven't forgotten anything, we're going to then open up this valve. If all goes well, the only thing that we'll start to see water will be the inside of our water heater. You can hear it coming in. Now you want to make sure that you fill the tank before you turn the water back on. I'm sorry, before you turn the heating element back on. All right, it is fully open. Water is flowing quickly. I can hear it. It all sounds like it is moving correctly. I'm also, I'll wait until the cold water or the tank is full, but then I'll also remember to open up the valve on the hot water side too. Be back in a few minutes. The water heater has gotten quiet, meaning the tank is full. So I'm now going to open up the hot water valve. And then this water heater has an automatic start. So according to the instructions up here, all I have to do is turn it to low, turn it on, and it should automatically start up. In theory. I just heard the flames kick on, and so it's up and running. The status light is lit to blue. I'm going to turn the thermostat back up to where it was before at hot, and I should be all done. I just want to point out one more thing, and that I took a decent amount of care about trying to keep things dry and can manage the water, but as you can see, there was still some water that came out. Not excessive, just basic leaks, disconnecting the hose has water in it, and so it is worth keeping in mind that even with care it's going to get a little bit messy, and keep that in mind as you're going about this work. Good luck, hope this was helpful. Feel free to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and thank you for watching.